We've combined all of the other beverages. We put coffee in there. We put any type of grapefruit drink. We've run out of things that, what do we do? Just triple the hops. We already tripled the hops.
Keep adding more coffee and oranges.
Keep adding more hops.
Oh no!
Grow your beard.
You're getting weird ones like sarsaparilla and shit.
What the fuck is sarsaparilla?
I don't even know. It's like I saw one with the succotash. And I'm like,
that's not something that Sylvester Stallone's. No,
not Stallone.
Sylvester the cat says.
Sylvester Stallone might have said that as well.
Was it? Anyway, yeah, no, it was.
I love Stallone.
No, man, you're absolutely right. Craft beer is so hit and miss, and most of it's missed now. You won't catch me in the last time.
I know you don't like.
You guys didn't grab me a D20. I'll be right back.
It's right in front of you.
Yeah, where's yours? Oh, you got it in your hand. That makes sense.
Yeah, no. So the last time that I went over, I'm hanging out with a buddy, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's go out for dinner. Let's go grab a beer. I'm digging pub food. He's like, yeah, sure. I know this cool new place that just opened up, and I'm immediately suspicious. I'm immediately suspicious of this shit. A cool new place where no. So we walk in. It has 4 seats.
Everybody looks like a lumberjack. Yet they've never been in the woods.
They all look like anorexic lumberjacks. Yeah, like they're anemic.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a different diet. Are you keto? I was keto last week. I'm vegan this week. Oh shit. Okay.
And we walk in and I'm like, hey,
paleo.
That started to bleed into the construction world, and you just get guys coming in like, I can't lift these things. It's like because you've been on keto for 3 weeks. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Well, you want to know what the problem is? That you go in to get pub food, and the only thing they have are this little box of organic pretzels, and it's not even a bag of pretzels. It's a box, and the box isn't sealed. And I'm like, where did you get this? Oh, we make it in the back. Who buys this? How is it? Make your fucking beer! I'm so mad. You're not even making beer.
I'm sick to death of hipsters. I'm sick to death of walking into a place and there's giant wood wheels and people spinning yarn and stuff and they haven't showered in 6 weeks. I'm like, stop being such a fucking hipster.
and I have a beard. I'm proud of my beard.
Yes.
But I see other people on the street with beards. And
I also have
don't
a beard.
Deserve it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I sound like a dwarf.
A little bit. Yeah.
That's what it's like, man. I love craft beer, but yeah.
I can't stand this stuff. I'm with Adam on this one. Like hops and stuff in the beer. No thanks. No.
I'm a
stout. Yeah.
At best, I'm like porter. A lager. Yeah, I'm all over a porter.
So you're bearded and you prefer your stout. So you pretty much are just a dwarf.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So like all dwarves, you also like dark places, especially underground.
I actually live in a basement suite, so here we are.
Well, we spend a lot of time in basements.
Yeah, we do, especially in this hobby. Everyone's got a basement. That we're in a basement right now recording this.
Right yeah,
you also studio, Dad.
So, like all other dark, dingy places that are kind of wet and underground, tonight we're going to be talking about the Underdark. Oh. So we're going to roll the credits and then we're going to get started.
Welcome to It's a Mimic with your DMs, Adam, Dan, and Terry.
We started this with wet, dingy, dark, underground. It's not good, man. That's the wrong podcast again.
Yeah. Maybe you'd find passion for that.
Passion for what?
I don't know, it's BDSM or something.
No.
Okay.
Is this how we're going to start back up after the music?
The
music stopped playing 40 seconds ago.
I just mean, you're one of those rare skilled people where you work with wood. You could literally make your own BDSM devices. Do you know how much money you would make from building those? Because you're very good at your job.
I should be building BDSM torture racks?
For the people at home, they don't know that we have this beautiful big. What is it? It looks like a
gallows. That is a former wedding arch that a couple of my friends got married on.
Those two things are very similar.
It looks like a gallows, to be honest with you. And it's beautifully crafted.
6 of one, half
but
a dozen
it
of the
could
other.
be, if you just adjusted it a little bit, this could be some sort of torture rack, and people pay a lot of money.
Oh, you could hang a sex swing off that, yeah.
Okay, all right, look. The reason that we get so confused with this BDSM talk is because Dan is a BSDM. And we need to get back on topic.
BSDM?
Yeah. You're a bullshit dungeon master.
For Christ's sakes. Love you too, bud. Glad I'm not DMing for you anymore. Anyway, so today we're talking about the Underdark, just to sideline us right back onto the topic here. Today we're talking about the Underdark. It's going to be another one of our lore episodes.
We got those two listeners that are just super disappointed right now.
Oh, yeah.
Two BDSM people taking notes.
They just unzipped their mouths and
Where
yelled.
can we... If you want... Hey, I'm
Gimps
ready to
are
start
a creature in the Underdark.
I'm ready to start it. All however many 120 people that download this every single time. If you
It's just Dan's
if
mom
any
over and
of
over
you
again.
want Dan,
I'm now concerned.
if you want Dan to build BDSM furniture, and he is a master carpenter, I want to start a petition for this so that he understands this is how he's going to make money. Firstly, because he's a massive Christian, and I think it will be hilarious if this is how he provides for his family.
Adam is now hurting himself. Walking away.
Where are you?
Christ. Because Christians are the first people to absolutely love others getting strung up and whipped.
Ooh.
I had to walk away from that. Cutting that.
God, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Anyway, so today we're going to talk about the Underdark. Now, we covered the Forgotten Realms as a general topic before. I'm just moving on. I'm
That's
not
fine.
letting you guys
Please,
do this.
God.
You started the petition.
I'm so sorry.
Just so the internet knows, those of you who are starting on this episode, I'm sorry. But I'm Dan. Across the table from me making really horrible jokes is Adam.
Don't put that on me.
And to my left is Terry. He's the British one.
I'm not making jokes. I'm the British one. I'm the British one in Vancouver. That's how I introduce myself. Terry, British one. Yeah, thank you.
Today we're talking about the Underdark. We covered Forgotten Realms as a whole subject, like as a big survey. The last lore episode we did a few weeks back. Today we're going to dive right in, pun intended, to the Underdark. The Underdark is a massive series of caverns and caves that is located under the ground of the Forgotten Realms. It is dark, and well, it's in the name, it's dark, but it's also under the ground. So, thanks. But there are actually 3 levels of the Underdark. There's the Upper Dark, the Middle Dark, and the Lower Dark. And all those collectively make the Underdark. The Upper Dark's like 1 mile under the surface, and the Middle Dark is up to 18 miles under the surface, and then the Underdark is, the lower Underdark is like anything beyond 18 miles.
No. You were on old lore, my friend. 5th Ed, they've changed that.
They've changed it now, but this is where it is. They've still got a lot of the flavor in, and they don't really call them by those 3 targets anymore?
No, they absolutely do.
Where's the lower Underdark then?
So it's up to 3 miles below.
Because I was still in your understanding.
Yeah.
No, up to 3 miles is the Upper Dark,
Okay.
and then 3 to 10 is the Middle Dark, and then 10 below is everything else.
Oh, okay. So
it's very close, but it's now literally anything can be the Underdark if it connects deep enough.
Yeah.
Right. If you go into a cavern, that's It goes down.
A surface level cave doesn't really connect, but if it's a deep, like, old cave that's just diving down on the ground, or an old dwarven ruin or something like that, chances are you're going to connect to the Underdark that way.
But if the world is a disc, when do you come out the bottom?
I would say that you don't, because it's right in the lore that Dan's sitting here like chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
Can I ask me again? We'll let Dan do a speech.
Yeah, well, no, this is actually going to come up with the question that we're going to have for the first area here.
Ask you again right now, or
No. So when we actually get through, I just want to do a quick little survey of it. I apparently got some numbers wrong, but that's okay.
No, it's fine, because I was super confused about it, and I spent the majority of this week being please give me a definitive answer.
Yeah.
And I actually found it digging around in out of the abyss.
I want to make it known, like, and you kind of hit it briefly. The Underdark is anything a mile and like lower. Basically, the Underdark is a mile under the surface and lower. But if you're like half a mile under the surface, you're not under the Underdark. You're still in a cave.
But that's the thing now, is you are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is surface level and down if it connects to the Underdark. If it doesn't, you're just in a cave. And it has to do with the radiation that's in there.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And so we'll cover that. You do your history of and all that stuff.
So the Underdark before was just a series of caves that Gygax came up with for his campaigns back in the AD&D days, and he started kind of teasing these in. They were very heavily developed by R.A. Salvatore and Ed Greenwood and those guys who brought in what the Forgotten Realms Underdark look like, and more of Drow culture and Menzoberranzan and all these other great places. All these stories about Dritz, the Drow, come and are featured heavily inside of the Underdark. It's caves. They're dark. They're lit by fungi and
lichen
and moss, right? And some of them can be fairly bright, but have patterns on these massive, almost unthinkably huge. That was loud.
Excuse me.
The massively.
I didn't fart. I'm British. If I farted, I'd burst into flames.
And this is why we call you the British one. So these massive caverns that are almost incomprehensible with how big they are. You could have, especially in like the Glimmer Sea, which is a large underground ocean that is in the Underdark. It's called the Sea of Fallen Stars because the lichen and stuff reflect off of this massive sea, and it looks like a starscape under stretching out from you beyond vision, right? Like this is a very
like these caves are. It's not just beyond your 120 dark vision.
No,
these caves are
massive.
They're huge, like underground oceans.
Yeah,
and deserts,
and like literal oceans and literal deserts. Like there's a couple places that are commonly targeted towards. Like you have the buried lands and you have the dark lands and the deep waste and the earth root, and these are just names for sections of the Underdark that have different tone. I encourage you as DMs or as players to look for finer details on these because we don't have the time to cover them.
Oh, there's so much.
But there's so much. It is one of the best developed subsettings in the game.
Well, I'm gonna pause you for a sec. It used to be, okay? 5th edition has only touched on it in really 2 books.
I'm really excited about the Underdark after doing a lot of research on it. Like,
yeah.
I really want to do a campaign.
Yeah.
People love it or they hate it, right? Like there's nothing in between.
Well,
but
Into the Abyss is featured out of the Abyss.
You do that every time.
Out of the Abyss is
then
featured
back
heavily
into it
inside
again.
of it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to do the whole campaign backwards. So that's one. The
Level
other
20
one is,
killing kobolds.
there's a bunch of stuff in Volos about the races of the Abyss.
Yeah.
So, or not the Abyss, the races of the Underdark. So there's really nothing else out there in 5th edition. So everything you're talking about, Dan, is from previous editions.
Yeah.
But in theory still holds true because the
They've
Underdark
moved
is one of the handful of things that didn't move on from 3rd edition through 4th edition and 5th edition.
They still make references of things like the Netheries, which are a race of humans that had massive floating cities that are from thousands of years before AR in this in the world in Toril, which is the Forgotten Realms is the name for it. But like they still mention these kind of things within the Underdark. And these old races that have covered in, and they cover them in some 5th ed material, right? Like you do Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah.
You do Tomb of Annihilation, you're covering subjects of ancient tech being brought forth, and they mention the Netheries in that module. So like it's fairly easy to just pull that stuff from 4th and 3rd and bring it in, and a lot of the stuff you'll read on like 5th ed wikis and stuff will use a lot of past tense, like the Underdark was this and was this, because 5th hasn't set in stone what it is now.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I want to talk to you guys real quick. I wanted to ask you what draws you into playing in the Underdark as a player and as a DM, and what do you love about the tone of the Underdark? I kind of want to cover both of these things in this first section. So go ahead, grab your dice.
Hold on. Before you do that, I wanted you to ask me the question. I don't remember what the question was.
The question was, if the world is a disc, how deep do you go before you get out the bottom?
Okay, so the idea,
Flat Earth.
So the idea is what created the Underdark, and there are some conflicting answers here. But one of the big answers, one of the most popular answers, is that there was a god that was essentially doomed down here, and the Underdark is created by him tunneling, and the Underdark is always shifting all of the time. The pathways between these underground cities change generation to
Frequently,
generation. Even like year to year. All of a sudden this tunnel's collapsed and there's a new tunnel over there.
Right.
And so the concept is that there's this god that is trying to tunnel his way out and is consistently looking to break free, but can't. He often goes up and often goes down, and he cannot find the border when he goes down, but he does ram up against the border when he goes up. He just can't pass through it because of godlike magic bullshit that he can't get through.
Yeah.
However, the Durgar and the Drow and the Mind Flayer stuff can burrow up. They're not restricted like this. So we know where the top level is, and sometimes he goes missing for eons because he is burrowing down, and no one knows like where he goes. but he just pops up again and is like, nope, not that way, right? Over and over, because the Underdark is as big as the entire world.
Yeah.
If not bigger, because you've got kind of like a 3D landscape that
Yeah.
you're in. So there's actually like more surface to actually run around in.
Yeah.
So that
It's not unheard of to run entire campaigns and entire things where you never see the sun because you're just
Yeah.
stuck in the Underdark the entire time.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was the answer, Terry. Is
I like it.
Is you'll never bust to the bottom because a god can't find the bottom. So I don't know what you do with that. There
I
it
feel like
is.
I'm going to use that phrasing for some sort of joke one day to insult
There's
somebody.
not even a god can find your bottom.
Yeah, I'll never bust through that bottom because not even a god can find it. Internet, help me. You know where we're going with this.
Okay, on that note, let's grab our dice. I actually want to talk about why we as players and DMs enjoy the Underdark so much. Let's roll that dice. Throw it outside.
Here.
Get it in the box, Terry. Come on.
What did I get? All that for 3?
So
I came in
DM
second
goes
with the
first,
five. Yeah.
and
Okay.
Terry goes last. So
Classic.
this is just how we usually run.
Yeah, I don't know why I play.
Okay, so personally, I love the Underdark because it is it immediately sets a tone of kind of this dark, like tonally dark, oppressive landscape. You are constantly dealing with things like slavery and aberrant creatures and aberrations and the difference of cultures, like the drow and all those other things bring in. Like, there's kind of this dark, gritty tone to the Underdark that I absolutely love playing in. If I'm going to be doing a campaign where I am running, you're trying to bust a slave ring or you're doing something like that, you're hitting the Underdark and you just have to, right? Because slavery features heavily. We'll talk about it later in this podcast, but slavery features heavily in pretty much any aspect of the Underdark.
Yeah, any intelligent creature's been subjugated at some point, except I
Yeah.
think for the Illithids. I think they're
They're
sit at the top.
subjugating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They sit at the top, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else has been a slave at some point.
Exactly. And you can make the argument that
The mind flayers themselves are
are
slaves,
slaves
to
of
the
the Elder Brain,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like
6 of one, half
6 of one,
dozen
half the other, half a dozen the other. But like even lesser known creatures like the Fairlimb, they're these massive cactus-like creatures that were banished to one area of the Underdark that was sealed off by the god that you mentioned, because they slaved too much. They tried to enslave the entire Netherese culture, and were getting pretty close to accomplishing it before this god was like, nope, and sealed them off in this little realm. So if you ever ended up in what is called the Buried Lands or Fairlimb, you're in for a bad time because you're dealing with massive worm-like cactus kind of aberrations.
They're still slaving. It's just now they have to slave over there. Is
Yeah,
that what-
pretty much, yeah.
Hey, too much slaving.
Well, no, it's more like
slave over there.
It's more like lock them in a tomb in the middle of the Underdark.
They're enslaving each other at
and
this
they're
point.
and it's this not very well covered area of the lore where there are these incredibly powerful aberrant creatures that are stuck in a hole somewhere underneath Amn in the country of Amn in the Forgotten Realms. So all of these things, like slavery, is a massive part of this. And if you want to have the break the chain storyline, you go to the Underdark.
What are they doing? The slaves, all these slaves.
They're mining, they're
Yeah.
digging, they're sex slaves, they're sold for. They almost are in and of themselves a form of currency.
currency.
Well, okay, all right. Here's the other factor: is when you're above ground and you want more land, you just fight your neighbor. When you're below ground and you want more land, you got to dig it out.
Yeah.
Right, and then you have to do something with this dirt that you've just excavated. Right. Where's that going? And are you really going to do all that work yourself?
No.
No. So you're going to.
You're going to raid the surface creatures, pull down a bunch of surface creatures, get them to dig and wallow away in dingy darkness where they can only see the stone that they're hitting in front of them for the rest of their lives. And then when they die, you're going to go up and get more. Yeah. Welcome to most of your drive for a lot of these ancient races. Now, there's a lot of other things that are involved with Duragar and Svirfneblin and Drow and all these other creatures that come in. We're going to cover the creatures later in this episode. But in terms of a tonal feel of it, just this oppressive, there is no sunlight. So think like, what happens to Superman if he doesn't get sunlight? What happens to you in the middle of winter when you're not getting your vitamin D for 3 weeks?
I actually thrive because
Adam does thrive.
Yeah,
Adam thrives.
Adam looks,
normal human beings require some vitamin
Adam looks
D.
Stronger in winter. Like Adam becomes like the Night King.
I pass in front of a microwave and I get 3rd-degree burns, right? Like,
Yeah.
I sunburn so badly, so quickly.
Yeah.
I have to wear a turtleneck in 40-degree weather.
I get real bad
Sorry,
seasonal depression.
40
Like
degrees Celsius, you fucking Americans.
I don't know, that 420,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know. You and the other 3 countries enjoy that. I get really bad seasonal depression, but I don't realize it's happening. I'm just like, Christmas, December, yay, other holidays. January, this is kind of crappy. February, just fuck you, fuck everyone. I don't think I've ever felt happiness in my life.
See, it hits February and I'm like, welcome to my life, bitches.
No, it hits me like a freight train. Like we're having an unseasonably bright spring here in Vancouver. I know that there's going to be a week where we're just going to get rain and it's going to be dark
it's going to be 27 on Friday.
It's going to be 27 on Friday, but
Celsius, you damned Americans.
Sorry. You know what we're saying? Warm. I don't even know what that translates to. You know what I mean?
80 to 90 around
That
there.
sounds ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. No,
like a hot cup
We're
of
talking
tea.
about the Underdark, not how all Americans are wrong with the way they measure size and temperature.
Okay, the sooner we build the ice wall, the better.
The North comes. Anyways, so that's why I like the Underdark. I like all these tones. Adam, you were next. What do you think?
Okay, so I like the fact that the geography is always changing. I think that's really cool, especially from a DM standpoint, is you can really add a level of urgency to just about anything. Hey, head over to this city over here in the Underdark and go over and do this, just to turn around and come back and find that there is no way back. I think that's really neat. Mm-hmm. I also think it's really neat that they've got this this radiation that okay, so you've got plant life and you have a ton of it. Most of it's fungi, right, or lichen or algae, and most of it, or a lot of it anyway, is bioluminescent. You can't scavenge for food. You can't live off of mushrooms, so it's hard to even survive down here. And these things don't get sunlight, so there's no photosynthesis going on. But they have a different radiation. It's called a Fairsris. And it's an uncomfortable word to say. Fairsris. There's a Z in the middle, or a Z. You damned Americans. Anyways,
why is there Z's in all of these words all the time?
Because Drids told us to.
It's lazy.
Welcome to Elvish. It's just drow-ish.
So there are all of these really cool aspects that we never get to play with. I don't think there are enough like plant monsters or ooze monsters in D&D.
Yeah.
Like we get 4 oozes, and I think there's one more in Mordenkainen's, and it's not how the others operate really. It's kind of got an intelligence in and of itself.
Removed from the Underdark, you don't even have a lot of plant space. Like you have creeping vines and like assassin vines and treants and shambling mounds.
I like the idea of intelligent oozes though. I think that should be like a symbiote type thing, like a whole Venom type thing. I think I think you can play with that.
I really like the idea of having you guys know the trope of the zombies attacking the city. Now have it be oozes.
Yeah.
That's so much scarier because you have to seal around the doors. It is coming in through cracks in the stonework and stuff. Yeah. Like, that's so much more fun. And you can't just hit it with a sword.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Right? Or now you got 2. Right? So there's so
you got 2 crap swords.
So there's so many cool things that are in the Underdark that we don't really get to play with that often. When we're up running forest campaigns. So I want things like you can go ahead and eat the lichen if you want. God knows what it's going to do to you.
Yeah.
Right? You are out here breathing in some of this Fairsris. I'll never get comfortable saying it. It's represented sometimes by it not just being a radiation, but it's a mist as well.
Oh, geez.
And the idea that you're breathing this in over and over again, and what does it do to you? I like the idea of humans going down here, and if you spend like a year, suddenly you start to get 5 feet of dark vision. And then you get like sunlight sensitivity, and it slowly warps you. Now, I don't think it should always be like that, right? Not every Underdark campaign necessarily, But this gives me the opportunity to do stuff like that, especially because there are all of these... I know it's underground, but it borders other realms and all of the wrong realms.
Yeah.
It borders the abyss. It borders the far realm, right? It borders the elemental chaos, which I don't think exists in 5th edition the way that it did in 4th edition.
No, I don't think so either.
But it does border the elemental planes in different ways. You're going to get some cool stuff down here that you're never going to play with, like mud methods. Mm-hmm. And you can reskin a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm tired of us going up against kobolds and bullywugs. Let's get some myconids.
Yeah, I was hoping myconids would come up because, like, there's the whole... you could do an entire anti-myconid or myconid-infused campaign with just how rich those creatures are, and they're horribly underused in D&D campaigns by my experience.
One of the things that I always wanted to do with myconids is have them overrun a bunch of beloved NPCs, and you force the players to retreat. You just see the overwhelming forces of these myconids coming in the players' retreat. They go back, they catch their breath, they get their long rest, and they come back, and they find the corpses of their friends still in the same spot. Now they're half decayed, and there's mushrooms growing out of their orifices. Yes. Right? Like, that's exactly... And if they sit there, they're like...
The grin on your face when you say, yes, hurt them. It's a little disconcerting.
Attack their heart.
I love the idea of, what do? Do you burn the bodies? And if you do, now all the little mushrooms themselves are shriekers, right? And they're calling the myconids back. Or you let them go, and they evolve into more myconids.
Well, and the other thing I like about the myconids is because they're mushroom people, like, they're very spore-based as well. And there are some terrifying spores in reality, like those things that make ants zombies. I forget what the name of that. Yeah. Do that with your NPCs. Like, you walk through a cloud and cough, and then a week later you're under the control of some myconid hive mind.
Yeah, I like that. A week later, it's like a slow...
Like there's a discoloring on your face, and that sprouts a spore that stretches out.
Or like the next day they just say something almost kind of sadistic, but then just move on. And it's like, what was that?
It's like, oh, hey, I had the weirdest dream. I haven't dreamed in 3 days. And then they just keep going.
Keep going.
What the fuck was that? But like, there's so many cool monsters and ideas and things that are down there that we don't get to extrapolate on. I run so many campaigns with orcs. I like orcs. We just did an episode on orcs, but I'm done with orcs. I want to do something new. And the Underdark gives us the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Where you can go into evil cities. They can be lawful evil, but they're there. You can accidentally just purely incidentally come across a mind flayer colony. Mm-hmm. What the hell? Like, hold on, what do you do with that? Yeah. If that's on your random encounter table, you done fucked up. Yeah. Right? Like, this is a whole new campaign now, right? We're going to pause out of the abyss, and you guys are going to fight some illithids for a while.
Elf, right? With your passive perception, you notice.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So there's a lot of opportunity for there to be slime, which we don't get enough of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity for you to just bring demonic aspects of things into the world because the abyss is so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aberrations. There's a lot of beholders and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is gates to the Shadowfell in the dark as well.
Yeah. There's undead, but not your regular undead. You're gonna get your Sorrow Sworn, right? And
your hook horrors as well, which they're aberrations, right?
Yeah. I love the idea of there being star spawn in the abyss or in the Underdark, and like you don't get that when you're romping across the plains,
right?
Or when you're fighting dragons.
And
right?
I think one of the big ones that you could also bring in this, like, you could stumble upon a mind flayer colony, or a massive drow encampment, or a massive Duragar citadel. But you could also just be walking along, find an underground lake, and there's an aboleth in it, right? Yeah. And now you're using aboleths, which are terrifying in and of themselves, right?
Hey, you know what? You're a level 15 party. You're walking along, random encounter. Someone rolled a 1 for the random encounter. Everyone's in trouble now. And now we have like Grick alphas, and we've got purple worms. We've got like bullets should be everywhere in the upper dark, right?
Yeah.
Like just like
I view bullets as like the fingers of that god that's trying to dig out. Like
I
he's just
think of
sending
ant
them over.
kegs as that, right? And you got your Formians, which are your ant people. And there's so much good stuff for being underground.
I love the idea, because you just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, Dan, of playing with madness.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is not used enough in D&D. Imagine being underground in the Underdark. Imagine you're human. You are human, Dan. Imagine you're human. And you're Underdark.
Vaguely.
It's pitch black. You can't see anything. You're traveling for days in essentially a pitch dark hex crawl.
Yep.
But the tunnels keep changing, and you don't know where you are. How long does that go on for? While you're being attacked by different things without chance to rest, coming in from all angles before you start to feel madness kicking in, or before.
Well, you can pull heavily from things like pull in like
sanity checks.
Well, you said like
sanity checks.
The far realms are close to this as well, so you could pull in your elder gods of madness, and you could play a very Call of Cthulhu horror mindfuck kind of game. There it is. I dropped my one.
You dropped an F.
I dropped my one.
And you haven't coughed yet.
I haven't coughed yet either.
My God.
I've pushed it down like twice. So don't.
Okay.
Push it down every time. And don't swear, by the way. This is a family show, okay? We don't do this. Thank you, Adam. I'm glad somebody said something.
But anyways, like you could play with these kind of like Call of Cthulhu horror, very tense and tension-filled sessions in the Underdark. It's naturally aligned towards that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. There needs to be slime, there needs to be fungus, there needs to be mold, it needs to be dark. Everybody should have some ability to camouflage. There needs to be tentacles. There just does.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Underdark, not like that, Dan, calm down. And the Underdark, it just gives you more
All my favorite
options.
cartoons have tentacles.
And mold.
Is this a Pokemon reference?
No, but I started playing Pokemon Go again. No, fucking.
You need a Pokemon stop.
Yeah.
So the thing. So there's my answer. The Underdark gives you a different side to D&D. I got a quick question for you though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know this, and you've got a whole lot more experience dealing with this. I seem to recall hearing that the Underdark was originally under Greyhawk.
Yeah.
So it actually is in multiple, like there are versions of it for every campaign.
Well, in Eberron, it's called Qyburn or something like that. Qyburn or... Yeah, like, and it's very poisoned underground jungles with scorpions.
There's
and
a version of it for the Taldore campaign setting, even though that's radically different. So I think there's one for... is there one for the Dragonlance setting? I don't think there is. I think Dragonlance...
Off the top of my head, well, Dragonlance, I feel like is so close to Greyhawk. Like
no, Dragonlance is all knights on horses.
When Margaret Weiss was writing it, man, like it was right at that chase of Greyhawk and that era of D&D that focused heavily on it. So they're very close in line. So if Greyhawk has it, I could see one of the Dragonlance books having it.
I see Greyhawk as being dystopian and Dragonlance being nearly utopian.
Not at all. They're very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, the Underdark is in everything. Like, it's got this sense of mystery to it. Like even within Tomb of Annihilation, there's a way to get to the Underdark. Is there something in Curse of Strahd to get to the Underdark?
No. The thing in Curse of Strahd is you can't get out.
Can't get out.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah,
can't get out because of mist.
It could be this fair's rest.
It could be.
Well, I mean, spoilers for Curse of Strahd. You're in the Shadowfell, right?
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure it's a spoiler. That's like day one.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's like a little pocket demi-plane.
A pocket demi-plane? Okay.
Yeah. So
it's like the Shadowfell, which is surrounded by mist, so it's like a certain part of it you can't skip.
Sorry, those of you who are trying to seduce Strahd right now.
It's fucking page one, okay? You're fine.
Yeah. Anyways, that's me. Terry, what do you got?
I touched on the madness thing that I'd like to include, but I would also use this for a big old hex crawl where it involves madness in that you're trying to get somewhere, and so you can roll your random encounter for the day of which direction you're going, using the rangers survival checks and navigation, but tempting them or trying to tempt them off course.
Yeah.
Or I think sometimes players get given the direction too often. Like, for whatever reason, the DC is higher, but if you get a 16... Or, let's go with that 13, where you're always never quite sure. But you rolled a 13. I'm telling you, you're pretty sure. you're supposed to be going in this direction. You're pretty sure.
Yeah.
Is it that direction? You're pretty sure it is, you know? And I like the idea of truly getting lost in the Underdark. Not realizing till 2 days later that 2 days back you actually went into the wrong hex and you have to go back again, but now it's changed.
That sounds like we're going to have to talk about that because that sounds like a massive headache on the paper work
I think it depends. It depends on how you roll it out as the DM.
Yeah.
You know, when these essentially forks in the roads are coming, how you roll it out, but also trying to tempt them off into a different direction. So, you know, maybe they get 19 or 20. You know you need to go left, south. You know, it's a very narrow, kind of knife-shaped corridor. It's dark, it's gloomy, it doesn't look very inviting. The other way is a big open cavern filled with multicolored crystals. They're all sparkly, and there's definitely a magical aura coming from them. But you know you need to go the other way. Because how many... You know what the like players... I'm the worst one. You're gonna bite. You're gonna go the wrong way.
Here's the bad option that you totally need to go
You're supposed to go
but
this
here's
way.
an area with a bunch of potential magic items and also certain death. But magic items.
Yeah, so your range is telling you this is the direction you got to go, but you want to go this way.
Yeah,
I think tempting them with those different things. Or you definitely need to go this way, but there are big circle, very clean-cut tunnels. There's clearly a purple worm in that direction. This other way, though, is the opposite direction and looks much safer.
Yeah.
You know?
And the looks much safer is where your piercers and your dark mantles and your ropers and it looks very safe.
Ropers, exactly. There's just a load of stalagmites everywhere.
Okay, so sorry, I gotta pause you guys because it's been driving me up the wall. I had to look it up. The god that got trapped in the Underdark is Torog, the god of jailers, imprisonment, and torture.
So a nice guy.
That it kind of thematically fits. I would assume that he is slowly corrupting anybody in the Underdark.
Yeah.
Except for Flumps. Why are Flumps in the Underdark? I don't know why that's it.
Because you need balance in all things, and when you have floating tentacles of evil everywhere, why not have one lawful good floating tentacle of good?
Because it's a flump.
I'm not sure I know what a flump...
A flump. You're saying it wrong.
Think of the flying spaghetti monster, just like super good and kind and happy and helpful.
It's a cartoon. It's like a Saturday morning version of a floating jellyfish that just wants to give you hugs and make sure you're okay.
Yeah, it's super helpful. I had a campaign that had one in it, and like my players across the table were like, "So do we stab this thing?" Now it's like, no, it literally is so good and helpful that your characters feel at ease just being around it. Okay, so we shoot it with crossbows from afar then. It's like, well, okay, guys, you people are horrible. So anyways, we're moving on. So anything else we want to cover about the location and the ecology of the Underdark before we move on? We're going to do a commercial and then talk about some creatures.
I mean, there's so much to talk about with the Underdark.
So much.
There's so many different areas of the Underdark as well that we could really do a deep dive. Maybe we should do episodes based on some of these areas themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
Okay, so for now...
David, write that down.
Fucking David.
Laziest guy on the planet, I swear. Anyways, we are going to move on to creatures. We're going to talk about our different tiers and what creatures to throw at us. But before we do that, I want to hit a commercial real quick. So run the commercial.
How cool would it be to hear your company name on this podcast? Pretty stinking cool. It's a Mimic is ready to take our show to the next level. We want to partner with other awesome businesses to share your brand with our listeners. Please email us at info@itsamimic.com for advertising information.
And we're back. We have covered the location and the ecology and the geography and whatnot of the Underdark. It is a fairly expansive place to be in, so we're not going to cover everything all that well, but one of the big shining features of the Underdark is the creatures, the things within it that
that's what we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes.
Most of what we're talking about is creatures, right? So, gents, I don't quite know how to do this with rolling the dice, so I want to talk about real quick. Tier 1, what kind of creatures are you throwing in?
Oh, let's roll dice.
Let's roll it.
That's it. All right, we spilled a beer. Goddamn.
We spilled a crap.
Crappy craft beer.
I went from 10 to 17 to 15 because you guys keep hitting my die. And I'm going first.
Yeah. So, Adam, tier 1.
I am going shocker last.
Oh, man, everything's right in the world. So, my tier 1 monsters in here.
What levels are tier 1? Just to clarify real quick.
Okay, so tier 1 is level 1 to 5. Some people say 1 to 4 because you get your first feat or ability score improvement at 4. But I like to split them up equally into quarters, you know. So 1 to 5 is the first quarter of the possible leveling in 5th edition. So that's tier 1. The stuff that I'm putting down here for level 1 or for tier 1, it should all be scary. You need to be running. Pretty much always. I would be putting things in here like myconids, but you're low level. You're not going to run into your sovereign.
Yeah.
You're going to see your level 2, 3, 4. You're going to run into Duragar and watch them go invisible, and that's going to freak you out a little bit.
Yeah.
You're going to be heading to Svirfneblin, the dark gnomes. You're going to be heading into their regions, their encampments, and trying to do trade with them. Yep. And it's not going to go as well as you would like it to, but that's your best option down here.
Yep.
You should be establishing early with these monsters more of a resource management than an actual attack. Everything in the Underdark is designed to kill you outright. So when you have 17 hit points...
Except Flumps.
When you have 17 hit points, you're going to die from 99% of the stuff that hits you.
Yeah.
Right? So as much as there are encounters, I'd be really relying a whole lot in the first tier on skill challenges and exhaustion and attacking the character sheet, right? You wake up and some of your stuff is gone and there's a brand new tunnel. What do you do with that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do you go hunting things through the Underdark where you don't know what took it? You do have things like Formians and Ankegs and these bug creatures.
Yep.
So you're pretty much, I'm assuming, in the Upper Dark at this point. So I'm thinking maybe you have dwarves. Maybe you have dwarves to back you up. But that should be going away pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at.
For me, what I'm doing is I'm really embracing the idea that the Underdark is a place for slavery and whatnot. So you're going to be running into mining colonies. You're going to be running into these kind of surface level groups of tortured individuals that you're tasked to save, but you have to take down their slave masters first, right? And I'm doing that in tier 1 and tier 2 both, but tier 1 you could really kind of take out these small colonies. Maybe you come across a raiding party, like a small scouting party of drow. So you know they cast darkness in an area and you start freaking out, like just like Durgar would cast invisibility.
Drow in the Underdark though is so much scarier than tier 1. I think that I could totally TPK a party with 2 drow.
Yeah, you
like
could,
stock.
I mean,
drow.
by the stat block, I think if I remember correctly, a drow
like they're low.
They have like 17 hit points or something.
It's not much, but they blend in. Like their stealth is going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
They're going to be crazy spider based bullshit. They've got the darkness on their side that they can see and you can't. Yeah. And you have 12 hit points.
Yeah.
Right. You are dead in 1 hit. If I'm gonna bring a drow on board and I'm gonna have like a drow lieutenant with the 3 others, then he's got 1 level of rogue. I'm sorry, I just murdered 2 of the party in this round.
Right? You're lucky if you get a round in when they hide, and they stealth and they know you're coming.
Yeah, but if you're in the level 3, level 4 range of tier 1, it's a little bit more doable. So like what I would do to start off is like you're getting attacked by these waves of emaciated goblins, of these emaciated humans that are attacking the surface to kind of test defenses, and you're making your way back. And by the time you're in the end of tier 1, beginning of tier 2, you're starting to hit the slave masters. You're starting to hit these scouting parties. Okay. And yeah, it's a little bit more intense down there. But if you are doing a deep dive into the Underdark, you have to start small to entice your players in. If you go too hard, too fast, they'll turn around and they'll walk the other way, and now you're in the jungle.
Okay, so that raises my question. And before we move on, sorry, Terry, we've got more tiers to do. Right, but I gotta ask, you're running into slave masters. What slave masters are there at level 4? Slave masters to me are mind flayers. Slave masters are
I'm thinking like
drow priestesses and drow
I'm thinking like a level 3 drow.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like a level 4 Durgar.
Whoever's in charge of the caravan, which is transporting the slaves.
Yeah,
or something.
a level 5 Zwerfneblin who overcompensates with a large hat. Like something like that.
You're talking the guy that holds the whip, not the guy that runs.
Yes, I'm talking about the guys that hold the whips.
Organization or the colony.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were really pitching.
No, I'm like he's the guy holding the other end of the leash.
Yeah. No.
He's the guy holding the other end of the leash, right? And that's where you're pushing into tier 1. You're also hitting like your surface area of myconic colonies. Maybe you're starting to see some lower demons. Maybe if you're not great,
you could run into a shit ton of mains.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'd go. Terry?
I think I agree with both of those things. I think for newer players anyway, would like to introduce them to the possibility of what's out there. So I like the idea, because of the networks in the caves, maybe they come across a very high opening in a cave, and it just, for whatever reason, they get a peek at a city. They look down. Imagine like coming out of a cave and looking down on like Zion or something like that. But like fantasy sort of.
Everyone's dancing in a
so
massive
you
sweaty orgy.
see the slaves, you see some of the different races, things that spark your interest and that you're curious about, but also would suggest the might and the force of these creatures as well. But also other ways that they could explore the Underdark. So they will see people doing business. They'll see social interactions. They'll see more exploration options instead of just being like, shit, we have to hide or fight everything in a tunnel.
Well, you could also do things like you come across a bullet corpse and it's clearly been taken down by very small, incredibly precise marks, and you don't know what's killed it. You know it's a bullet. What do you do with that information as a low-level party? Well, clearly, and you could. The wounds are an hour old. Well, crap. There's a drow or a Zwerfneblin or a even like weird spider creature things. We haven't really covered the fact that there are spiders everywhere in the Underdark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like incredibly prolific within the Underdark. Like if you're struggling on an encounter, throw some spiders at them. Right? It'll make sense. But like...
And we're talking like Black Widow spiders. We're not talking hairy tarantulas. We're talking like hard shitness.
Like black and kind of wet looking. And
they gleam
menacing.
in the
and like I'm talking like Shelob.
Yeah.
Right? Like menacing spiders and even vaguely intelligent ones that talk to you. What are you doing as a level 2 town guard walking into the Underdark, and then a spider goes, lunch. You're fucking running is what you're doing.
That would be... I would love that for like social encounters though. Mm-hmm. That actually is a part of the... Well, I like the Hobbit movies, but I love the spiders where you could hear them speaking. Yeah. I love it. Just flipped everything. Yeah, I love that.
So tier 2.
Tier 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I would start exploring in tier 2 is the idea of you've hit the tunnels and now you're in the middle dark, right? We need to make it so that it's very, very difficult for you to get back. I would be introducing the gigantic, monstrous, almost cosmic horror level issues that are down here.
Yeah.
This is where I want to see the giant sea, and the only boat that can get across, the only ship, is a hollowed out, upside down shell of a dragon turtle. And so there's like you and 6 crewmen on this, and as you're going across the sea, you are being ignored by the kraken underneath you. That is obviously 4 times like... You know what gargantuan is? Times 4. Yeah. This thing is so big that this is a piece of the scenery. It's not a... Like, you can't interact with it.
You just managed to catch it on a good day where it doesn't want to eat everything that moves.
Yeah, you peer over the side of this, and an eye, bigger than the ship itself, opens directly underneath you and stares into your soul. Right? This is the Underdark, right? From there... Like, you get across, and the shell turns around and goes back, and now you're here. There's no going back. You can't just get a boat.
Yeah.
Right? You are trapped here. And now you're going to start to get into the weird aberration level things. We're getting away from the beasts and the monstrosities and the low-level intelligent creatures. And I want to hit all of the aberrations and the... everything from the far realms. The low-level stuff need to start
coming their way in. But while you're doing this, are you covering like the more common race, like the Underdark version of the common races around tier 2? That's when I'd be starting to introduce them myself.
No, this is where I would have the obvious void of them. So there are the races up in the upper tier, and there are the races, or the upper dark, and there's the races in the lower dark, and the middle dark, there's a weird absence. There's a vacuum. This is where you're going to run into your more bizarre demons, where you're going to run into your low-level beholder types, your spectators and whatnot. You should be getting into a lot of the really weird, crazy stuff that keeps the mind flayers down where they are. Because when I'm getting into tier 3, when I'm ending tier 2, now you're getting into you see an elf who has lost his mind. He's escaped. He's obviously a slave. He's wearing like the most basic torn loincloth. He is starving to death. His eyes have been gouged out. He looks at you and says, "All hail Lolth," and then dies, which is out of character for an elf. What has happened to this? This is how I'm drawing you into to tier 3 and the really scary shit that's coming next.
Yeah.
So that's me for tier 2.
Yeah, for me, I would focus more on these creatures now. Like tier 2 is level 5 to 10. Like a lot of campaigns are going to really be hitting their main stride during these levels. So these are the sessions where I'm throwing them into. You're going to walk into a Drow city for the first time around this level. You're going to walk into a Durgar conclave at around this level. For me, I find like the deeper you go, the weirder it gets. It's very much like the Far Realms, where the further out you go, the weirder it gets. And I kind of do the same with the Underdark, where like the further down you go, that's when threats are getting more and more dire, right? So you can walk in as a human town's guard at level 8. You could walk into a Drow, like a Drow city, maybe do some limited interaction. You're not a slave. You haven't been enslaved yet. But like that is part of the overarching threat that you put on top of your party, where like this is a realm of slavers. This is a realm where they just want to control you, and you are powerful enough where they know you will be able to swing that pickaxe for far longer than your average Joe. So you are under heavy watch, and they're looking for you to turn your back for an instant, and then you're theirs. Right? So like I'm starting to put that kind of aspect in. I maybe even hitting them with the more monstrous, less intelligent kind of creatures that are under there. You're hitting your bullets, you're hitting your Formians. Got to make sure I'm not saying Fomorians.
Yeah.
With big ugly fey creature, giants, ant things. Close, name, different, entirely in tone.
None of that was a sentence. You just had a stroke.
Kinda. So I would be throwing in all these things. I'd be throwing in Ankegs a little bit. You would probably have your first interaction with like an Aboleth, or even you'd see a Mind Flayer who would look at you and be like, yeah, you're not developed enough yet, and leave during the later ends of these levels. Like just enough to kind of tease you and be like, you're powerful. Yeah, sure. You're level 8. Look at you. You got your second ASI, but no.
Oh, you and I run Underdark. Creatures very differently.
Yes. And I would play into the horror aspect of things as well if it necessitated that, but I would definitely try to establish that there is an entire underground world and culture that is established here. People are born, grow up, and die before they ever see the sun, right? This will be your middle tier.
This is Canada. Again, you're just talking about Canada, right? This is just what we live.
The further up north you get, yeah, right? What about you, Terry? What are you doing for tier 2?
Again, this is so boring. I like both of those ideas. I see what you're saying, Dan, with going into the cities, and I think I would do it. You know when you start to have your town time and then you kind of go off on your little side quest because you want to make some money or whatever. I think that same thing would happen, but these little side missions, or how the players survive and getting their gold, is going to be very difficult tasks or very uncomfortable things for them to do, linked to slavery. Maybe you got to sell your soul a little bit here. Maybe you have to go and kill someone that you don't necessarily want to kill, mother, children, whatever, or bring them into slavery, or do some unsavory things because you need to survive, but you really need to feel the darkness of the Underdark.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of like, I can't remember which one of you said it, about touching on seeing mind flares for the first time. I kind of imagine it as being in the city, being surrounded, and almost like those scenes like where Darth Vader shows up and visits the ships. You know? Then the mind flare and all of the Drow are receiving the mind flare and just really trying not to piss it off.
Yeah.
You know, so you feel its power and its presence as it takes its tour and inspects whatever it's there to inspect, and your job is to shut up and not die, but very much take in the power. I also like the idea of using the underground oceans now that you're committing to that middle layer of being able to do some more ocean based things with creatures and races that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do it with. There's going to be slaver ships crossing the oceans. There's going to be things deep down. It's almost like our own oceans in the world. The deeper you get, the weirder it is down there.
Yeah.
I think we should touch on that. In the Underdark, that's the best place to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Adam, tier 3?
Okay, so tier 3. So for me, I think you guys are way off the mark on your intelligent creatures and the people that are enslaving the others.
Right.
Your slavers are xenophobic. There are no mind flayers visiting the Drow City. There are no slave cities that will welcome in human traders. No. You are pink flesh from above. You work in the mine. Period. The end.
Yeah.
That you should be having to sneak through this city or find a way around it, and there are only 3 tunnels. Right? This, to me, is the Underdark. Because when you get captured, you end up in the middle of the Drow City. You don't run into 7 or 8 random Drow. You run into the Drow matron. These people are gods down here. These are your level 23 Drow. These are your...
This is your tier 3?
Yeah. You're teasing them in front of everyone else. You're not battling them. You're not toppling the governments yet. But the bard is like, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to have a good time and I'm going to seduce a Drow woman. This is going to be hilarious. Do you know what happens when you seduce a Drow woman?
No.
Do you know what happens when... Okay, first of all, men... It is such a matriarchy that men are not even considered civilians. They are property. If there are 2 Drow women that like the same man, they will battle over him, and he's got to do everything in his power to please both of them. If he then falls out of favor with one of them, they resolve it by lopping his head off and delivering the head to the other woman and saying, all right, so this game is done. Let's find another. There's no room for adventurers in this society.
Yeah.
Like, there's no room for traders or markets. There will be markets between Drow, right? That's why they're raiding the surface to get more supplies. They're not saying, oh, you know what, we're looking for salt. No, they're raiding for salt.
Oh, okay.
Right? They're sending out their people to do it. Maybe Durgar, maybe the Dark Gnomes, right? These guys are going to have your little trade cities, but that's tier 1.
Yeah.
Right? By the time that you are dealing with these guys, this should be tier 3, where you are under the constant threat. You should be enslaved at some point during your story.
Yeah,
and you need to break through.
And that's a tier 3. Like,
yeah, and
I'd say you're enslaved at tier 3, maybe the end of tier 2.
Right, and that's where I'm coming from. Is we've gone through the random adventures of bullets and purple worms, right, in tier 2.
If you're throwing purple worms at a party at tier 2,
I'm absolutely going to throw a purple worm at a party, and it's going to be a skill challenge to get away from it.
Right?
You're not fighting.
Why are all purple worms automatically adults as well?
Yeah,
I think it's
fair
perfectly
enough, yeah.
fine to have younger purple worms.
I think you should be running into eggs and nests and all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah, the threat should be there.
But tier 1, tier 2. By the time you're tier 3, these guys need to be smarter than you, and they need to know what you're doing. They've got, like you said, they've got an established society down here, and they are coming for you with their forces.
Yeah.
Now, we know that the tunnels and the geography and everything changes on a fairly regular basis. So that's kind of even the playing field a little bit. There's no real home advantage for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's still some, right? And they're still going to come at you. You still have your Durgar that can go invisible. Your Drow that can cast darkness. Your Mind Flayers that just know you're there. Period. There's nothing you can do about it. And this is where I would start to really deal with the far realms, the far plains.
Yeah.
The
really
abyss.
bring in more of those
and
Eldritch Horrors kind of deals.
But you're bringing in the intelligent, the big ones, right? And you're parading them around in front of your party to say, hey, look, you are out of your depth, pardon the pun. You are out of your depth here. You are screwed if you don't actually take this seriously.
Funny enough, I would say that our tier 3 aligns a lot, personally for me. I would definitely throw in the early tier 3, you're getting enslaved, and you are now a minion of some sort of Drow enclave, of some sort of Drow matron. You are now the minion of maybe a mind flayer of a sort who's like, I'm not going to eat your brain just yet, but these pesky Drow have been causing shit over here, so go over there and start dealing with them and start raiding them. And if you die, you die. Whatever. I'll find another brain to eat. Right? Like, it's that kind of level of stuff. But that's my early tier 3. Later tier 3, like, we're talking level 14, 15. You are now on the top end, really, of what you're going to get for power. you're just going to get more uses of things at this point, right?
I'm sorry, we skipped over something that's super important. You cannot scry or teleport in the Underdark. Period. You can't get out. There's no planar shifting. There's nothing. You are here.
Yeah.
That is built right in, and we glossed.
Well, I mean, you got to consider if there's a god that cannot get out, it's got to be because there's something locking it there, and there's this realm of planar locking.
But that's why everything is psychic, because they can't scry down here. So instead, they sense you.
Yeah,
and it's all tremor sense if it's a beast, or psychic if it's
So I at tier 3, I would be throwing in mind flayers. I'd be throwing in like the later end of tier 3. I'd be throwing in more heavily. I'd be throwing in mind flayers. Maybe you are. This is when you would be fighting maybe your first legit shadow dragon, which aren't necessarily a thing in 5th edition, but make it up, it'll be fine.
Shadow dragons in 5th.
Yeah, shadow dragons exist in 5th ed.
Where's the rule set for them?
No, they touch on them briefly in the Monster Man. I think they have like stat block for like a blue shadow dragon.
No, that's a Dracolich.
No, there's definitely Shadow Dragon in there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
okay. Still,
yeah,
I'd be throwing a Shadow Dragon
that you put on.
Yeah, I'd be throwing a Shadow Dragon in. I would be. I love aboleths. I really, really do. So I would be. And with our campaign, I keep on wanting to say abolims, but I would be throwing in aboleths and the boots with the fur. No, so
damn it, you're dead.
So that's what I would be doing. Boots with fur. Terry, your turn.
Where do I go from there?
Hold on. You can collect your thoughts for a second, because there's one more thing that I got to argue with Dan about.
Oh no,
sure.
on this, just because. Okay, so you said that you wanted to introduce the stuff in tier 2 and then get enslaved early tier 3. All right, let me paint you a word picture, Dan. I think that you don't see the cities in tier 2. You see the scouts. You don't see those in tier 1. You do for the upper dark, but for the middle dark and the lower dark, you don't see that until the end of tier 2, where you see the drow that are out there doing something. You fight your first drider at the end of tier 2, and I know that they're lower level than that.
Yeah,
but you're in the Underdark. They've got every advantage, and they're not alone. So you see Driders for the first time, and you're starting to get into the drow stuff in tier 3. You don't see a city, you see caravans, you see little villages, you see evidence of in tier 2. Tier 3, because I'm slow rolling the horror, because you said, if it necessitates horror, you're in the Underdark, Dan. It necessitates horror. That is a part of this. So that's my argument for that.
Yeah, no, and that's completely fair. I like to really embrace. There's got to be some period of rest somehow within a campaign. If you are just go the entire time, and you have this weight over you the entire time, your players themselves are gonna get burdened. They're gonna get dreary with it. There has to be some success, some rest, some reward to it. And if you run the Underdark with like this massive sense of foreboding at all times, your party's never getting that rest. So one of the reasons why I like doing things like establishing the cities and maybe not necessarily enslaving the party right away, making them watched but not necessarily enslaved yet, is to give them that opportunity to rest, that opportunity to get a foothold.
Yeah, but I would say that they don't. You never do that with a drow society. You would never do that with an illithid society. That should never happen with either of those races. They are so xenophobic. They have no tolerance for you. Even if you are similar to them, they don't want anything to do with you unless you are a pure blood. Right? And that's all there is to it. Like, hard stop. The end. I'm with you with Duragar.
Yeah.
I'm with you with the...
Zverfneblin.
Yep, I'm with you with... Even, like, maybe there's a good Myconid colony, right? Like, and you get a weird other kind of civilization city.
Yeah.
But when it comes to drown...
You're also, in your middle dark and that level, you're still hitting, like, gold dwarves. And like, there are still legit dwarves this low down.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm with you, and there should be some of that. I'm saying that when you hit slavery, the subjugation of a people, the oppression of a people, then it needs to be oppressive.
Yeah.
And you don't stay there all the way through to the end. You hit your cosmic horror at the end. Yeah. That's where I'm leading.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So, you're really peaking that at about level 16?
Yep.
Right? Which is early tier 4. So I'm sitting here going, No, man, you don't have your mind flayer walk into a city and be like, so I'm here for the banquet. Right? That's the wrong campaign.
I don't know. I like that though. Like I like how there is a political sense of I like political intrigue in my campaigns. And if you are a drow woman, you will succeed in the drow colony, and that is it, bar none. I understand that that's the way the lore is kind of leaning towards and how it's run, but there are still extremely powerful men in drow society. There are still extremely powerful other races within drow society. And that are established within the lore. So I would definitely be playing with that and playing with the politics a little bit. We're two different DMs. We're going to run it different, but this is what I would do. I would throw in this a little bit more. And yeah, there's no reason why a entourage of mind flayers aren't allowed within the Drow City walls. They're watched and guarded and kept at bay with powerful drow magics. Sure, in terms of the psychic things, but there's no reason why they wouldn't be in there to maybe conduct a massive deal about, we'll give you all of these slaves, you give us all these ones, or something along those lines, right? Like, this is what I would play at.
So you said in one of the Meet the DM episodes that there's a correct monster for each kind of scenario, and what you're talking about is not illithids. So
I disagree.
I am so 100% about my mind flayers. I want my neolithids to be a major factor. I want my ultralithids to be a major factor. I want to see the entire life cycle of an elder brain. That stuff is cool and crazy. I'm all over the mind flayers. However, the mind flayers, they're not trading. I can't get this through enough. These, they're like aboleths. You're not negotiating with them. They are the best in their mind. You are never going to change their mind, and they're going to prove it to you, and they're going to be right. It is going to be a 1 in a million shot that you are able to wipe out a mind flayer colony, and your players should never do it. As far as the lore goes, they should never do it. So when they do it at level 20, it is a huge capstone moment for the entire campaign, but that is lessened if they were sitting there like dealing cards at the pub at level 8, right? Like,
well, I'm not saying they're like dealing cards at the pub. Like when you're bringing in illithids at level 8, it is, you're seeing them on afar. They are still a massive threat. When you're dealing with them from level 10 to 15, you're seeing the group of them, and they are turning and looking at you from afar, knowing that you're there, and you're adding that sense of horror to them and all-knowingness to them. You're still adding those aspects that are intrinsic in mind flayers and even drow to them, but I want to give my players something to rest in, right? Something to chew on, something to think about that isn't just how screwed we are at all turns, right? That's me. Anyways, Terry, tier 3.
I have a solution for what you just said. As much as I like to hurt people and like to feel the darkness, I think tier 3 is a perfect time to give them some happiness. To break, I think, okay, you need contrast, you need darkness, you need light, even in the Underdark, if you keep it the same all the time, you will lose people. They're going to disengage. They're like, oh, great, another depressing day. And they have to be something happy. People, even in the worst of worst wars, found ways to laugh and things like that. So I think you need to introduce some type of happiness to them, something for them to love, an NPC, something for them to get attached to, a child, a love interest, something.
Only to take it away.
And build it up, and then only to not snatch it from them, but make it so that it's very difficult for them to stay alive.
Threaten them, but give them a good solid threat. Right?
Yeah,
I think the threat of death should be possible at any time. I'm all about putting it in the fate of the dice, but I think that tier 3 is the time for them to find love, but also for them to know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, which I say to Adam all the time.
Every session.
I know what you're doing to me. That's the perfect time, tier 3, because the terrifying threats are coming in. But everything else you guys said, I agree with. I'm not going to be able to add on to that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, okay? I'm talking about overarching. Okay?
Yeah.
There needs to be these moments of rest. It's a D&D campaign. You need to have a stronghold.
Yeah.
You guys need to gain land at some point. I firmly believe that everyone should have, if it's a pirate campaign, you have your own ship. If you're
If
on
it's
the
a standard
plains,
campaign, you're getting a keep.
yeah, or a
right?
stronghold
Yeah.
of some sort, right?
And a horse.
Yes, everyone should have mounts and what.
And at tier 3, you're riding griffins.
Maybe not in the Underdark, but there are definitely things. Maybe you're riding giant bats. Like there's some cool shit that you can do.
Everyone's
down here.
mounting gigantic myconids,
write
and
that
then
down.
everyone's walking around, I am Groot, and making their way through.
Bullets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that would be awesome. On like a sled? No. Oh, anyways.
Good luck taming those, but okay. The interesting thing about tier 3 for me though is where you run up against the hard line.
Yeah.
Okay, you cannot bard your way through this. You're not going to barbarian your way through this. You have to think your way through it because you're in the Underdark. You can't just rage through this city because you are the wrong kind of person. You need to feel like you are the wrong race in here because that's what this is about. That's the Underdark.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can have people like looking at the corner of their eye at you for a session because then you were captured because that's what drow do. And the Mind Flayers eat the drow. The drow aren't going to allow the Mind Flayers in because the Mind Flayers eat the drow because they need brains and there are very few intelligent creatures down here besides the drow, right? So when you're getting into the lower dark, when you're getting into your end of tier 3, beginning of tier 4, this is where I'm introducing it. And that's where I'm coming from. I'm not saying keep it dark and evil the entire time. I'm saying what you need to do is you need to hold back and show the absolute horrors as being absolute. And there is no slavery is okay from this perspective in the Underdark. It always has to be bad. And if I'm going to give you beloved NPCs, I'm not going to kill them, Terry. I'm going to enslave them. And now you got to rescue them.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to.
Real quick, tier 4, what are you doing?
Tier 4 is Mind Flayers. Like, a hard stop. You're going to get your purple dragons or your shadow dragons or your beholders or, like, you get your big monsters in here.
Yeah.
But it's Mind Flayers. It's a Mind Flayer colony. You get within 1 mile of them, and they know you get within 1 mile of a Mind Flayer, and the Mind Flayer is within 1 mile of an Illithirid, and the Illithirid is within, I think it's 10 miles of an Elder Brain, so you're 12 miles out from the colony, and they know you're there, and they know everything about you, and you are walking through. You can't stealth your way in, and your NPCs are enslaved by the Elder Brain, right? How do you deal with this? This is the problem of a tier 4 campaign.
Yeah.
Okay, in the Underdark. And that's where I'm coming from, where you can't say, well, we'll trade you, because you established that in tier 3 that they trade.
Oh, no, and I'm with you on tier 4. Like, tier 4, you're dealing with the kind of hard and fast. Like, these are the hard lines. No, these are... you at tier 4, you're not playing politics. You are destroying massive evils at this point.
It's funny, I look at tier 4 as flipping the script between players and DMs, where the DM has established this entire world, and they've got all these NPCs, and they've got the things that they really care about, and they've built a story, and the players are sitting there under, like, between sessions, talking amongst themselves in a private face group chat, going, so how are we going to screw up this DM's plans? How are we going to wreck everything? And they become dungeon masters themselves because they're strategizing in ways that they never thought that they would do.
Yeah.
Right? And the DM is sitting back going, oh God, what are the players going to do to me this week? Right? And then you because you've built this world, you can adapt.
Yeah.
When you're in the Underdark, it's very much, I feel like the DM is running the world as it is. Here's slavery, here's the bad guys, here's the Mind Flayers, here's the giant aberrations, and the players are coming in to give the Mind Flayers that dilemma. You're not giving the players a dilemma anymore. You're walking up and saying, hey, look, you know what? We can cave in the roof, or you can give us our guys, or you can keep our guys, and you can stop the roof from caving in, but we're going to knock the floor out from underneath your city, too. Because we have just established this complicated, complex, convoluted plan where the Mind Flayers don't have an option. That's how you beat them, right? Because they're hyper-intelligent. This is where you are no longer relying on Flaming Sword +3 to get you through the campaign.
Yeah.
Right?
+3 sword. That would be better.
Anyway, so that's what I'm doing with the tier 4.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting way more out of my players,
Yeah.
especially in the Underdark, because there are fewer options, so you need to get creative with those options.
Yeah, for me, I am coming to the fruition of my storylines. I'm coming to the culmination of my storyline. So at this level is when you are fighting drow mate, like high-end, like leaders of drow cities. You are assaulting drow cities with armies that you've built of ex-slaves or dwarves or Durgar that are done being subjugated or something along those lines. This is when you're doing that in tier 4 for me.
I think you're inciting revolts.
You're inciting and revolts, yeah. You're taking care of all that. This is when you are... once you hit like that tier 4 level, you are an adventurer of worldwide renown at that point. People know who you are and what your name is.
Especially mind flayers.
Especially things that read your mind and then
only in the Underdark though. Anyone on the surface has no idea who you are.
Well, like I would say even around tier 3, tier 4 is when you're finding a way to escape the Underdark for a brief bit of respite and then make your way back down to take care of the threat that you are now currently enthralled within. Like these are things that I would address here at this level. At level 20, you are taking care of an Elder Brain. You are taking care of a collective of aboleths. You're
making deals with the aboleths and the Baelors to wipe out the mind flayers.
Yeah. Right. These are the kind of conversations you're having at tier 4. Terry?
I would say, yes, not only making deals with aboleths and Baelors, but you're at the point where you are strategizing so heavily, you're trying to start a war between drow and mind flayers.
Yeah.
And come up with some plan. Hey, let's get their army to attack that army, and then we'll just clear up whatever's left at the end.
Yeah, or we are the guys who will take the head off the snake. So we're going to go over here while the armies are fighting over here, right? Like, it's these are the things you're dealing with here.
Yeah, I think it becomes, it's not a matter of just taking things on head-to-head, one-on-one, like you were saying. It's not about +3 sword and barbarian at this point. It's huge climate shifts. You know, I would even, as a DM, though, to do that from the flip side, is I would do, you talking about the roof caving in and shifts in the earth and things, I would do that as well. Knowing that the players are going to try their plan, which is great, they can try things, but I think there should be some monumental shift in the environment as well.
That purple worm that they've been hearing about and feeling the tremors of for the last 18 sessions finally shows up and just like
a shit movie in the final scene when they don't know how they're going to kill the boss. Just they've heard about it constantly, just comes up and kills the boss.
Yeah,
the worst
and now
movie
you have
ever.
and now you have to fight the purple worm.
Yeah, we call that Gangs of New York.
Anyways, so I want to move on. We're going to talk about the slavery and oppression more closely next, but before we do that, I want to just do a quick shout out. Our art and all of the other things we've done. I don't know how we've gotten to episode 18 without mentioning Katie.
She gets a shout out in all of our posts. All
of our posts. She's right there at the bottom. Her Instagram is at Clementine Art Projects. One solid wall of text there. But she is a fantastic watercolor artist. She's done our logo. She's working on some other stuff for us that hopefully you guys will see sometime around the release of this recording. She's fantastic. She's a personal friend of mine. Was like my wife's best friend growing up. So like I know her very well. She is a massive D&D nerd. And when I went to her and was like, can you draw a mimic for us? She was like, yeah, 1 sec. And then within 20 minutes, she had something. Like, it was ridiculous, the turnover that she had there. And I love her dearly. She's like a sister. So this is a shout out to Katie. And
what's her handle again?
At Clementine Art Projects. People follow her, support her. She's got all sorts of ways that you could order prints from her and everything else. And it would mean the world to me and her if you guys pursued that. She does portraits that are like amazingly photorealistic. Like I love her deeply. So go to her Instagram, follow her, show her some love, because she has been our main graphic designer for the It's a Mimic podcast from day one.
What's that handle one more time, Dan?
At Clementine Art Projects. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to move on from that to talking about the slavery and oppression. And Adam, you and I were talking in prep for this episode, and you're like, hey, what can I do to help you with this? And I'm like, can you take care of the slavery and oppression? And I think the people listening to this podcast up to this point know why I asked you to handle that. You have a far better grasp on kind of how to run that campaign, how to run that. So do you want to give a brief overview, and then we will talk about how you as DMs handle this issue?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, when it comes to slavery, I particularly the concept of oppression of the people, There are a couple of different ways to do it, but the one thing I want to say that you should never do is hit it for shits and giggles.
It's got to be meaningful.
It really does, especially in the Underdark, especially when you're dealing with xenophobes. A lot of orcs gather slaves to build their defenses for them and stuff, and they're opportunistic, which is just fine. When you are subjugating entire races, and I mean, I will, I'm not going to beat around the bush on this. Every single race in the Underdark has dark skin and are getting enslaved. This is built into this. Yeah. It's hard baked in. You need to have some amount of respect when it comes to this shit.
And this is something like we've talked about session zeros before. Like this is something you bring up in your session zero. Like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this big break the chains campaign in the Underdark. Anyone got an issue with this? Yeah, right? This is something you bring up.
So I'm just going to point people back to episode 9 that we did about party politics. I guess I really don't have a whole lot to say on top of this, more than I've already said in the past, except that I think that you, with permission, need to lean into the evil side of slavery.
Yeah.
And I don't mean sex slaves. All right, that's not what I'm talking about. A lot of people are going to think that first, but I mean you stepped out of line, I'm going to flog you. Right. I've got racist terms for everything. Like we know that elves are dirty knife ears, right? And dwarves are overgrown gnomes, and like there are
mudkin.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of calling a human an overgrown halfling, right? Like there are these fun little names that they can throw back and forth in a regular D&D campaign. You end up with the dwarves. There you have a party of dwarves going into an elvish land. And they're going to get into this cabbage slipper, loving, tree hugging kind of garbage that they're throwing at their elves. When you're in the Underdark and you're dealing with the drow that are subjugating the Duragar, there is going to be a cultural disdain from the upper to the lower. If you are going to do that, I run realistic campaigns, so I'm a big believer in embrace the darkness. Don't turn away from it, but give a break from it as well.
Yeah.
I would not be wallowing in a slave pit for 4 or 5 sessions.
Okay.
I would touch on it for 1, maybe 2, and then resolve it and get out.
But when we're talking about slavery in the Underdark, we're saying like almost every single race, like major race, engages in the slave trade. Or in just slavery in and of itself within the Underdark. Like, there's examples of Durgar doing it. There's examples of Drow doing it. There's examples of Mind Flayers doing it.
But there aren't examples
of Fairlands.
There are very few examples of, if any, of dwarves doing it.
Yep.
Like, there are some races that straight up don't.
Mm-hmm.
This is really where I'm drawing the line between lawful good and lawful evil, and putting them in harsh contrast against each other. If you are going to be doing anything with slavery, you need to come at it with a certain amount of respect, because it's going to make your players understand and respect it as well. You also need to understand that there is a line to walk on this, and it'll be different for every table. And that line is simply, I like to be as realistic as possible without being as horrific as possible. You need to know when you've drawn a freaking line and when you've crossed it.
Yeah.
And so be clear and open with your players ahead of time. You don't know who's going to have a strong opinion about this. And you don't know when you're going to touch a boundary, especially when you decide to enslave an NPC, keep them for 5 or 6 sessions kind of off screen, and then they died. And there's nothing you can do about it. The end. No. They had a horrible life and then they died.
Or even they come back and are that...
They're hollowed out.
That hollowed out traumatic shell of what they used to be.
There's going to be PTSD, there's going to be anger, there's going to be all sorts of things in the slaves, and there's going to be entitlement in the slavers. You need to really figure out what you want to deal with. We talk about playing with insanity. I love the idea of going mad. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of introducing mental illness and bipolar disorder based on childhood traumas because you were a child slave. I'm not big on that.
No.
Right? There are all sorts of slaves that were, like children slaves that in history that have been soldiers. I'm not putting that in a campaign. That's a really interesting way to approach something. If you go to attack the mind flayers and the mind flayers just unleash the children to wipe you out, what do? That's a huge dilemma. Interesting question. Not in my campaign. Yeah. I got other things. Or we're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
I think we got more options in a fantasy campaign.
Exactly. Yeah. So be aware of it. It's really hard baked into this setting to deal with slavery. And honestly, if you want to deal with it and you think it's getting a little bit dark and a little bit heavy, free the slaves.
Yeah.
End the slavery.
Are you talking about letting the players go home? Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So, Terry, any tips?
I think, you know what, I've kind of experienced this, on two continents, really. Like, being from the UK, I know if I played D&D back in the UK, this wouldn't be an issue. Because it's not around us. It's not talked about. It's just, it would be treated no differently to murder or stealing or all those other things that we do in D&D, and it's just normal.
Yeah.
To come into North America and seeing how this is much more... on people's minds. I mean, not necessarily so much in Canada. You know, we have our own things we think about here, but definitely more down south. It's definitely something I'm aware of, and something that I think does need to be treated a certain way. But that's something I had to learn, you know, because I spent most of my adult life living in a place where this honestly wouldn't have been treated any different to where you've also got to murder 100 people as well. Okay, that's part of the game, you know?
I think that you're absolutely right. I think that this is the thing where in some places, at some tables, this is going to be on the side of murder hoboism and used as a plot point.
Yeah.
For other tables, this is the same thing as torture and rape.
Yeah.
This is all in the same conversation.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is it taught me that you definitely have to be aware of your table. And those first few sessions, those feeling out sessions are really important for how you're going to address things, if you even want to address it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Underdark can be hugely exciting, and it is a great campaign setting for exploration. But if you're with a table that just really doesn't want to explore this, you can do it without doing this. You know, don't let that waste the whole campaign that somebody who's excited about just because you have to remove the idea of slavery, because it's not essential. It's an idea which is heavily in the lore, but if you need to take it out, take it out. You know, let's work around it.
My middle ground here, and I kind of touched on this really briefly, if you want to deal with the slavery without it being capital S slavery, is have it be a whole bunch of different races, opportunistic enslavement.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of, I picture Duragar as having slaves of whoever they can get, because they're low level like CR, right, compared to Drow and Mind Flayers. So they're going to get whatever they can get. They're going to take.
Yeah.
Whereas the Drow are going to take this city and all of the inhabitants within it.
Yeah.
Right. And
like we talked about in the Orc episode, how like an Orc raiding party would run into a city, take like the strong that will help them build their defenses, and leave everybody else. Yeah. The Drow are coming in, and anyone they can't use as a slave, they're killing. Anyone else, they're coming and they're taking everyone who could feasibly be enslaved.
Whereas a Mind Flayer is coming in and taking everyone they can eat, and only the strongest are slaves. Yeah. Right, so it's almost reversed from there.
Yeah.
The other thing, so a lot of people don't get this about Mind Flayers. They can eat brains, and every once in a while, when they eat the brains of their victim is still alive, and they're just a hollowed out shell that does what they're told. They're just a blank slate, and they do whatever they want. These, to me, are the actual Mind Flayer slaves, right? The hard labor slaves because there's nothing left in there, right? And they've had their meal. They don't need to kill. They just need your brains.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
that's a matter of priority. They just need the brains. Right? They have they don't necessarily have the desire to kill them. You know, they know what they want. They know what they need.
And here's the last thing I'm going to say about slavery. If you want to dig into the darkness of it, if you want to get real messy with it, and that's the kind of table that you run, I suggest you enslave the party and have them experience it. And I suggest you enslave the party for months. And I don't mean months of gameplay. I mean months within the world. Your items are gone. Your con and strength and dex are all going to take major negative effects because you've been worked down to almost skeletal level of horror. And now between sessions, you got to escape now, and you're all like bearded and gaunt and emaciated.
I love that.
And now you have to get somewhere else. And between sessions, you're going to get back up into your healthy.
Yeah.
Right. And time has passed. You can just kind of hand wave this and say,
well, it's like in D&D, you know, it's 3 hours for 18 seconds to pass, or it's 1 minute for 4 years to pass. Like, we can do it this way.
Yeah. So you can kind of hit the broad strokes of slavery without digging too deep, and still keep it messy. Still, that messes with the party when they return home after 18 years of slavery. They started off because every adventurer is 22 years old.
Yeah.
Right. And they come home and they're 40 and their wife has moved on.
All of mine are always in their 30s.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
apart from the last one, which is 452, but that's fine.
So,
all right. So, do we have anything else we want to bring up about the Underdark here, guys? We've heavily covered the locations. We've heavily covered the races and whatnot. We've heavily covered that mind flayers want to eat everyone's brains with some flava beans and nice Chianti. What else are we doing here?
Okay, so one thing that we didn't really touch on, and we got to be better about this, guys. From a player's perspective, we are very. The panel of DMs sits down and discusses from a dungeon master perspective.
What is a player? Okay.
They're those douchebags that keep wrecking my world.
Oh, the 5 people that show up and watch me play D&D.
Yeah. So they're those people that buy me pizza to hear me monologue.
Yeah. Yeah. And then NPC 2 says for 3 minutes.
Yeah. So those assholes that interrupt my villain monologue. Yeah. Right? So from a player perspective, off the top of your head, guys, what are classes or races that you want to play in the Underdark?
I want to play a half-orc barbarian. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. Something that thematically leans into this. So your character, your human paladin has died. At level 12, everyone is in the bottom of the Middle Dark, and you have to introduce a new character. Who is this character?
Oh, I want to play a drow fugitive. I want to play it from the other way. You're not from the surface. Now you have to get out away from the society.
I was literally about to beg everyone to not do specifically that, because everyone then is some version of Dritz. And it drives me up the wall whenever I see, I am the one neutral drow ranger.
No way. I'm telling you I'm a drow fugitive. I'm telling you that I have to get away. I'm not the one who wants to get away, and I'm different and yes, weirdly handsome. I have to get away, otherwise I'm going to die.
You got like scars all over you from your slavery.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Look, that's cool. I'm thinking rogue. Probably not assassin. Probably not thief.
No, I wouldn't, because that's something that
a bard.
Maybe it doesn't necessarily help me. I just have to get away, no matter what it is.
A bard, you were singing a bad song and got enslaved.
No. Hold on. What about a barbarian? The only way you got out is because you raged out of your chains and you fought. You were pushed to your limit, and you fought.
Exactly.
And now you're a drow barbarian.
Instead of becoming a hollow shell, that switch flicked in me, and
that's cool.
I went the other way.
I want to play as Verfneblin. I've never played a grade gnome. I love gnomes. I've never played as Verfneblin.
Stop being small! Be taller! Be taller!
I think I hit a nerve. Oh dear God.
We're just tired of your...
No, he's got a point. I'm playing in 3 campaigns right now, and I'm playing a gnome, a goblin, and a halfling, respectively. I'm playing nothing but small races.
Also, here's my thing as well. Just side note. When you're a halfling, like their whole race is called halfling. If I was a halfling, I'd be like, why are we the I'm a whole person. Why is it...
I am a Lightfoot.
That's it.
And then the stout ones are going...
My racist term for humans now is holings.
Yeah, but why? But I wouldn't, even as a halfling, I'd be like, I'm actually a wholeling? What am I half of? Why am I decidedly half of you? Like, I'm a whole thing.
And the Goliath looks down and goes,
You're a doubling.
You're a thirdling.
I'm a wholeling. You humans are doublings. You're twice as big as you should be.
Okay, so, alright, besides a gnome, what...
I would want to play one of the iconics. Like, I maybe play a Duragard that's got a myconid thing in his brain, but has been severed from the hive mind. So he's just like kind of, I want to say almost robotic, almost like he's very. There's not a lot of force of personality, and a lot of his character
That's going to
arc
last you a session and a half.
No. And a lot of his character development is him having these bursts of personality as his body is fighting back the spore. Something cool like that, right? And so he's going to come along. He's going to be along with the party, and he's going to fight along with the party. But eventually, these Duragar blasts of personality are going to come out, and he's going to be this brooding, angry, controlling dwarf character for 15 minutes before the spore takes back control or something. Like I want to do something interesting. I would definitely play this guy maybe more as a druid or some sort of earth shaper.
Well, your circle of spores, you just said that.
Yeah, right? Like either circle of spores or you could be circle of the land and tone it for being in the Underdark. I believe that's caves is one of the options. So
I think it is just straight up Underdark.
Yeah, so like play that, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, okay. For me, I'm gonna
Minotaur.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, like Minotaur would be cool, right? Because they can't get lost. They always know the path that they've taken if they've ever taken it.
Yeah.
Which then when the tunnels are shifting, that would mess with a Minotaur.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more
Like
about
my Roomba just has no idea where it's going, even though it's supposed to program stuff. Whatever. Fix it! Sorry, Adam. I'm just angry.
Terry's got some strong emotions tonight here,
Okay,
people.
Roomba, fix your shit! No more crap. Well, continue the crap beer. Just stop being hipsters. Dan, be taller. I mean, you're already 6'2" anyway, so, just in fantasy.
all right. So if I was looking at
I'm
the
undercompensating. That's the problem.
at the start compensating again.
Compensate. People have been talking. Compensate more.
So if I'm looking at the races that you can play, I'd definitely be looking at Earth Genasi.
Yep.
Yeah.
To lean into that whole Underdark feel, maybe even water, depending on where you are in the
I like
Underdark.
that. Water Genasi would be good, actually.
The other thing that I think really leans heavily into the Underdark is Tieflings. If you're going to play an abyssal side of this, and you're going kind of far plains, that's an interesting way of going as well.
Play a warlock, and a lot of these patrons that you could choose, you could pull directly from like, oh yeah, no, he's in that cave over there, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of really powerful things in the Underdark.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what race I would play, I mean, I've played this in the past, but Gloomstalker just screams to me
Yeah.
Underdark. Because if anything, Terry, you're going to love this. This is a ranger. If anything that relies on dark vision to see you in the dark is looking at you and it's dark, they can't see you.
Ooh.
So if you're in the dark, anyone without dark vision can't see you. Anybody with dark vision can't see you. You are invisible all of the time until someone lights a torch. So I'm thinking a water genasi so I can put out
Which
flames.
a player would never do. They'd
No.
be like, but we have all of these spells to use.
But I'm thinking water genasi to put out the fires, Gloomstalker.
Yeah.
That I think is my min-maxed
Yeah, fair enough.
Underdark creature.
Okay, so this one ran a little bit long, so we're going to end it now. Guys, thanks so much for listening to us nerd out about the Underdark for a while. It's a favorite around this table.
That was
It
good.
really, truly is.
Okay, I know we've got a Mind Flayer episode coming up. Let's do a Drow and Duragar episode.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Let's dig
definitely.
into some of this.
Yeah.
D&D episode. Because Drow and Durg.
I don't understand.
But also the game is...
What? Okay, on that
Awkward note.
awkward note, like with most of our podcasts, we're going to end on that awkward note. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Catch us again next week. It's a Mimic.
Thank you for listening to It's a Mimic. Check us out online at itsamimic.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have questions you would like answered by the guys on the show? Send them an email to itsamimic@gmail.com. Tune in every Tuesday for more.
I love that you just say it's a mimic. Like, no one can see you shrug and wink and do your like little finger guns.
It's heavily implied in the tone.
no.
Hey,
How
it's
is
a
it
Mimic.
heavily implied episode? Guys, it's a minute. My hands are up. What can I say? It's over.
Thank you for listening. These guys are going to keep giving me shit for another hour. So
Another hour, nothing. We're gonna give you shit for the rest of your life.